What's going on, guys? Distant Coder here, and today I figured I'd talk to you guys about the potential upcoming ban list that we're going to be getting for the new Master Rule. So we know that there's probably going to be a new ban list that's going to be coming out for the new Master Rule, so in this coming month of April 2020, and I thought that I would bring to you guys what I think is probably going to be the list that we're going to be looking at, something that, a little similar. I'm going to be bringing to you the hits and the unlimits and stuff like that I think are pretty realistic that we might see in this upcoming ban list. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you guys know that this video is sponsored by YGOLegacy.com. They sell all sorts of Yu-Gi-Oh! Singles and will surely have what you're looking for. Don't forget to use promo code CODER5 at checkout for 5% kickback in the form of store credit once you complete a purchase. So let's get started with the Forbidden section. Now, before we start, just keep in mind that we are getting a new Master Rule update and the release of Dual Overload before this ban list would come into effect. So Konami is 100% going to be taking that into consideration when making their new ban list. So I just figured I'd try to compare my thoughts with what I think Konami might be thinking for the upcoming format. So that's the justification for the cards that I'm going to be putting on this list. So for the first card that I have on the Forbidden section, I have Glow-A-Bulb. Now, I think Glow-A-Bulb is a very, very good contender to be forbidden in the next ban list, just because we're getting the release of Needle Fiber, and Needle Fiber, Halcofibrax, however you want to call it, is a really, really strong card. You can literally play it in almost any deck. Most decks can even build an entire strategy around this one card, and cards like Glow-A-Bulb are one-card Needle Fibers that can be quite problematic. Along those same lines, I also put on the Forbidden section Blackwing Steam the Cloak, because Steam the Cloak not only is a one-card Needle Fiber, but also makes it so that its one-card Needle Fiber combo is also a one-card Guard Dragon combo, which is kind of absurd, and I don't think it's something that Konami really want to have in their game moving forward with the new Master Rule update. Along those lines, I also added Blackwing Zephyros the Elite, because I think that the whole Lunalight Time Thief deck is going to be quite strong in the next format, but I think that Blackwing Zephyros the Elite is one of those cards that is going to be quite problematic. You got your cards like Force Strix and Wise Strix coming out, and those cards mesh quite well with Zephyros, so I think that this card is a good contender to get banned. I don't think it should be in the game moving forward. Another one that I have from the main deck is the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. This is that card that if it's equipped to one of your monsters, your opponent can't use their extra deck. It essentially domain locks them as long as it's in your spell and trap zone equipped to one of your monsters. And with the release of the Union Carrier, I think this card is super, super impressive, extremely easy to have access to, and that's not a very good thing to have in your game. So I think Konami's going to preemptively hit this one, just because I don't think they really want to have that and Union Carrier in the game at the same time. I think that's completely oppressive and isn't something that we want to have in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's domain locking your opponent, as well as being able to do all your combos and stuff like that, and it really doesn't lock you in any way. So I think it's kind of broken and just has no reason being here. So that's why I think very strongly that this card is going to get forbidden. Okay, so in terms of spell cards that I have here that are going to be forbidden in my opinion, the first one here is Instant Fusion. I think Instant Fusion is going to be taking a hit in this upcoming ban list for the simple reason that with the Millennium Eyes Restrict, Instant Fusion becomes a Called by the Grave, and because now without Link monsters needing to be summoned onto the field for you to be able to summon a lot of fusion monsters, Instant Fusion just becomes a free monster that you don't even have to link off. So there's a lot of good Instant Fusion targets like Winda and stuff like that you can just summon out, and honestly there's free cards, and I think Instant Fusion is kind of powerful, especially moving into the new Master Rule update, so I don't think Instant Fusion is going to be sticking around. And another really broken card that I think a lot of people want to see banned is Mystic Mine. Yeah, I put Mystic Mine on here. I honestly think that Mystic Mine is going to be taking a massive hit on the next ban list. Every single deck that I've seen top in the past couple of months has been playing at least one copy, either in the main or in the side, and I don't think this card is very fun to play with. I don't think anyone really enjoys this card except for people who play Mystic Mine Burn, but who cares about what they think. So I think Mystic Mine is going to be banned for the very simple reason that it's a very oppressive card and has no reason being in the game. Now, the last card that I have banned here is Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli. Now, a lot of people are like, why are you banning Lapis Lazuli? Well, Konami doesn't like FTKs, and the new Master Rule 5, as well as the release of the Adamantia archetype, really do help Gem Knights in their consistency and allowing them to FTK a lot easier, and Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli is the card that you need to hit if you want to get rid of the FTK. Otherwise, there's so many ways to FTK if this card is still in the game, so I think that Konami are going to hit the FTK by banning Lapis Lazuli. Okay, moving on to the limited section. I have quite a few cards on here, but I think that all these are pretty much warranted. A couple of them are just things that I speculate Konami might want to bring back from the ban list, so we'll just go into it. I have the first card is Lunalight Tiger. So Lunalight Tiger, as I said, is very strong with the whole Lunalight Time Thief deck, and I think that the banning of Blackwing Zephyros and limiting of Lunalight Tiger is a good enough crutch for the deck. It'll make it, you know, a lot weaker than it currently is, but still strong enough to perform, and I think that's what Konami's going to be going for when thinking of hitting the Lunalight deck. So I think that Lunalight Tiger to 1 makes it less easy to access. Of course, you can still search it off Tenki, but I think that having only 1 stops the sackiness of having 2, because since if you have 2, you can just, it's essentially becomes soul charge because you can resolve it like 4 times in a turn, and that's a little absurd. So I think that Lunalight Tiger going to 1 is very warranted. Now the next card I have on here is Double Iris Magician. I think that because Pendulums aren't getting the same amount of love as all the other summoning mechanics are getting with the new Master Rule update, I think Konami's going to try and give them at least a little bit of love and give them back 1 card that helps them out. You know, you could bring, you know, Pendulum Magicians aren't really doing all that much, but I think that Double Iris Magician would help the deck to do a little more, and I think it would allow it to compete with all the other decks that gain an advantage from the new Master Rule update. After that, one of these cards that I think Konami might want to bring back to 1 is Blaster, Dragon Ruler of the Infernos. Now, Blaster, a lot of people have been saying that Dragon Ruler is going to be coming back because of the return of Tempest, and I think Blaster is the one that is most, I don't know, makes most sense to bring back. I feel like it's the one that's least overpowered of the 3 that are still on the ban list, so I think that Blaster coming back to 1 might be a move that Konami decides to make. Continuing with the limited cards, I put Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier to 1, as well as TG Hyper Librarian to 1. So these cards were at 1 before Master Rule 4, and were put to 3 because you can't really abuse and summon a bunch of them in the same turn, like have them all on the field under Master Rule 4 because of the whole link mechanic, but because they're kind of moving back on that, I think they're also going to move back on the unlimiting of both of these cards. I think that both of them should be at 1. Trishula is a cool card to have at 1, TG Hyper Librarian as well, but if you have them at 3 and you can just spam them out without needing link monsters, you're going to be drawing through your whole deck with Hyper Librarian or looping your opponent's entire hand turn 1 with Trishula, and I don't think either of those are very healthy for the game, so I think Konami is going to be putting them back to 1. Moving on with the spell cards that I have limited, I have Magical Meltdown. Now, Magical Meltdown is pretty good in Invoked, but I think that the real reason why this would be going to 1 is specifically because of how well it synergizes with Shaddoll's. I think that the fact that Magical Meltdown prevents your opponent from playing when you do all your Shaddall things and you try to fusion summon and stuff like that, I think that the whole limitation on your opponent not being able to respond to your stuff is kind of really strong, and I don't think that it's something that needs to be super easily accessible. So like we have cards like Terraforming Metaverse that can search it out, and I think that Magical Meltdown to 1 with the 1 of Terraforming and the 1 of Metaverse, I think that it's going to be pretty good to have back to 1, and I don't think it should still be at 3. So the next card I have on here is Mind Control. Now, I think this card, Konami have realized that they've made a mistake by putting it to 3 because they put it to 2 in the last list, and I think that they're going to be putting it either back to 1 or banned on this list. I think they're going to be going back slowly, gradually, you know what I mean? So I think they're going to be putting it back to 1, and then eventually, and maybe in the next list after this or the one after that, they might ban it, but I think for this list, they're only going to be putting it to 1. So the last card that I have in my limited section is Spiral Mission Rescue. So Spiral Mission Rescue does help out the Spiral archetype quite a lot, but I don't think it allows you to do what Konami intended the Spiral archetype to do. I think the Spiral archetype was really meant to just be Sleeper Turbo, not make an entire huge board of Link monsters and Link Climb and stuff like that. So I think it's a little strong to be able to use Monster Reborn that isn't once per turn, just 3 times in a turn if it's a 3. So I think putting it to 1 does hurt Spiral, but doesn't outright kill the deck. A lot of people have been saying that Master Plan should be the one that gets hit or that gets banned, and I don't think that's very legitimate. I think Master Plan's a really good card for the archetype, and if you get rid of it, you just outright kill the archetype, but Rescue to 1 I think is very warranted, and just, you know, it hinders the deck a little bit, but doesn't prevent prevent you from playing it. So I think that's a really good idea to put Rescue to 1. Moving on with the semi-limited section, I have 2 cards on here. The first one being Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. Now, I think that Salamangreat does need to have an ever so slight hit before the new Master Rule update because the deck is quite strong now. And I think it's going to need a little bit of a hit going into the next format. So Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf to 2 essentially makes it so that you have to constantly be shuffling back your Sunlight Wolf with your Jack Jaguar, otherwise you are going to be running out of resources quite quickly. So I think that Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf to 2 does hit the deck ever so slightly, but just enough for it to still be able to compete. Now the next card that I have on the semi-limited section is Destiny Hero Malicious. This card has been flip-flopping back from 2 to 3 to 2 to 3, and I think it should be at 2 and stay at 2 this time. Konami, put Malicious at 2, leave it there, it can stay there, we're okay, Malicious can stay at 2, it's very good at 2, at 3 it's just absurd, so I don't want cards to be completely, utterly broken. Malicious at 2, you can still use it, it's still a good card to play, but it doesn't like do as much crazy things as Malicious at 3 can do, you know what I mean? So I think Malicious at 2 and Sunlight Wolf to 2 are the best semi-limits that we're going to be seeing on this next ban list, and I don't think there's anything else that we're going to be seeing semi-limited. And last but not least, the unlimited section. So on here I have a couple of cards that I think can come back to 3, so all of these are currently on the ban list, but back to 3 is probably the best bet for these following cards. So the first one that I have on here is Reasoning. I think that Reasoning, it went to 3 in the OCG ban list if I recall correctly, and I think that it's a really good card to see at 3 in the current game. I don't think it would see that much play, and I don't see a real reason for it to be at 1. Like, I get the card isn't once per turn, but I think that Reasoning is a very solid card to have at 3. I think a couple of decks can use it, stuff like Infernoid and stuff, but I don't think very many decks will be able to utilize it, so I don't think that there's a very good reason for it to be at 1. I think at 3 it's a very good card, and it can go back to 3. So the next card that I have on here is Pantheism of the Monarchs. A lot of the Monarch cards have been going back to 3 since they're like previous hits, and I think that Pantheism can go back to 3 because Monarchs really aren't going to be doing that much. Monarchs aren't a very consistent deck, they're quite bricky, and I don't think Pantheism going to 3 is a very big issue, and I think it would still make Monarchs playable, but not, you know, meta. I don't think it would be good enough to compete with all the crazy decks that we're going to have in the game moving forward. Next up, I have Necros of Unicorn going to 3, and I think that Necros of Unicorn can go back to the unlimited section simply because every other deck is getting a crazy boost from the new Master Rule update, and I think that they're going to need something to give Necros to counter all these very extra deck centered decks, because a lot of these decks are going to be now spamming the extra deck a lot more than they previously have because of the new Master Rule update, and I think that Necros of Unicorn going to 3 would give Necros a fighting chance. I don't think it would make it broken, I don't think the deck would become absurd, but I think that Necros decks and Ritual Toolbox decks could use 3 copies of Unicorn in order to, you know, have a sort of fighting chance against these crazy decks that we're going to be seeing in the following format. And for the last of my unlimited cards, now this is a little bit of a wild card. I don't think a lot of people were expecting this one, but I'm putting Gem Knight Master Diamond back to 3 in this ban list because I banned Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli in this ban list. I think that if Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli does get banned, I think Master Diamond can come back to 3 without issue. I think Master Diamond's a very, very good card. It allows Gem Knights to go into cards like VFD because it's level 9, but I don't think that with Brilliant Fusion banned and Lady Lapis Lazuli banned, I don't think Master Diamond would cause any problems, but would still give Gem Knight players a fighting chance and would still be able to allow Gem Knights to play and do some cool stuff. They could make neat turn 1 boards. It could actually become a combo deck rather than an FDK deck, and that's something that I would love to see. So I think that Master Diamond going to 3 is something that could happen if they do decide to ban Lady Lapis Lazuli. So anyways guys, that was it for my ban list prediction. Thank you so much for checking it out. If you liked the video, leave a comment and like. Otherwise, don't forget to check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/distantcoder and go follow me over there. I stream about 4 or 5 times a week. So anyways guys, have a good one, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out y'all. Bye.